we may not get the people we want. So now it's either 5 or 7, depending on how much risk we want to take. And I have the names, and if I wasn't sitting here, I'd be writing emails to those guys right now. So as soon as I leave this meeting, or tomorrow morning, I'll be writing emails to get schedules to schedule those guys over the next month. We want to have this interview process done. Essentially, our offer is done out by early May. And then we're sort of caught up to folks. At least we're going to force these guys to make a decision if they really want to be with us or not. So the interview folks, 3 transportation, 3 structures, and 1 geotech are left in the pool. The 2 strongest guys are 2 transportation guys. They're coming in they're currently faculty at other universities, and they already have a track record of success, and they want to move from a small university to something where they can do some more collaboration. Exactly the type of people we want to try to get. Yeah. So we're hoping to get 2 people in for the fall. Certainly the areas we're thinking, geotech, transportation, and we need to expand structures back out. So that's where we'll look.
Especially if Robert gets involved with that big grant, his time to teach is going to be 0.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, maybe might get him 1 class. You're right, though. That's correct. Yeah. Okay. So that's where we stand. I hope to get a lot more information and have some folks here stand in front of you in the fall and tell you what they're trying to do and what they're working on. So, yeah, and get them here for the fall. That will be fabulous for us. Okay. So, faculty info. Make sure I don't lose track of what I want to get here. Yep.
You don't need anything from us regarding this position, right?
No, unless you will advertise.
Bringing people here, should we try to...
If you want to come down and visit and attend seminars, once they're here, but the interview process is now, so there'll be 1-day interviews. They'll meet with faculty, meet with the dean, and other possible collaborations on campus. They'll give a seminar, so we'll put that out and advertise it on our Facebook page, and we could follow up with the emails directly if anybody interested. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's where we're going on faculty, and hopefully expanding our numbers back up. Just a brief one on students. Because we're losing faculty or have lost a few faculty, our graduate students, we had 2 huge classes. We had 17 students, I think, in the fall graduate as graduate students finish up, which is a huge number for us. We had 60 in the program, and about a quarter of them were finishing up. And we're going to get another fairly significant jump in the spring here. Mark had 8 or 10 students, and he's finishing everybody up, so we're losing that number. Actually, this is the number Karen mentioned, but I think Jeff's is right, 125 or so. And again, we're having this issue of students not declaring for majors early, so we don't know who's there. But the best indicator I have is we have 40 students in our junior class right now. In my junior class, which is probably about 8 or 10 below what I typically have in my junior level classes. So we're a little bit low. I think that's because the boom is over and people are saying civil engineers don't have jobs or can't. But I think that's changing as well. And now, how can I put it down? How do I escape me? Just do that. Okay. I put this in your folder as well. I think this is Jeff's. I have 2. They use the same cover sheet on their thing. So I put this in here. I just want to go through it. In fact, Jeff mentioned a bunch of these, so I can go through. If I have the right one open. Nope, I have the wrong one open. Academic affairs. There it would have been easier. So you've seen. You could check out the numbers that Jim Bajens has put together. But the idea is head count. This is a detail what Jeff was talking about. Head count's up to 670. So it's a big increase. Incoming GPA 3.7. 1240 for average SAT scores versus 1100, low 1100s for the university at large. We're at 23% female. I don't know our minority numbers, but I think it's somewhere around 30%. So we do better, or we're reasonably well on minority students, but we're at 23 compared to 28 as a college. The big thing is retention, head counts and retention. Anything like that? Nope. none of them beep on me. Retention is 85%, coming up from around 78 up to, for a first year, and you can see longer term retention, 40% graduation after 1 year, in 4 years.
You want a pointer, Kevin?
Yeah, if you got, that'd be great. Thanks. So these are just broad numbers. The big thing is we need to be ready for a bump. Our numbers are going up. 210 students. The biomedical program now has 200 students in it. It's huge, from essentially 0 4 years ago. So they're moving up relatively quickly. Expansion recruitment programs. That's not what. Yep. So I just wanted, that's in your folder. You can check those out. I just wanted to give you the highlights of what's going on there. We should be expecting more students. This year we've expanded our junior level classes. I think I talked about it in the fall. All our junior level classes are offered online. So we're getting students. We had a student who started from Eastern Arizona who wasn't able to finish. You have two additional ones from.
That's those two.
Just those two, yeah. So we have one guy who's moving well along from Arizona Western, and we have a couple others that are, I guess they're either trying to decide if they're coming over in ag or civil, and they're taking a couple of the classes as well. So some of the faculty don't like teaching online, but overall it's moving along. We're trying to get out there and trying to increase our numbers that way. And that really does help us because we can expand the number of students. We struggle if this number in junior classes hits 50 or so, it really worries me because if we get above 50, it's really a valued class or should we switch into 2 sections? And if we go to 2 sections, we essentially double our teaching load at the junior year, which is a huge thing for when you have 10 faculty. So when Jeff gets really excited about increased numbers, I really step back and say, wow, is that really what we want? We have an optimal number, but the opposite side of the coin is we're moving back toward this resource-centered management. Round 2, which says your department is paid by how many courses, how many units you teach. So we're sort of stuck in the middle.
Is there some kind of revenue sharing thing for online courses that you share back with the engineering college as a whole?
Online courses are taught separately, so they're into a separate tuition pool, which is really good for us because we get
a larger percentage.
We get 49% of the income off what they pay, and on campus right now we really get we get our budget. In the future it's going to amount to more, and I haven't done the comparison of what the student credit hour between on outreach versus what we're expecting, which is around $150 a credit hour if we teach them on campus. That's sort of the range what we're expected in RCM.
So it could be, I mean, online courses for you in the future could be a big revenue stream for you.
Right. Yeah. And then, so they teach, in the better part, well, in resource-centered management, you get money for how many credits you teach and how many students you graduate. So if we're teaching online, and they're taking 2 years at community college, that's no cost to us. And we get very few of those student credit hours anyway because they're in math and physics and English. They come and they take our junior level year, and then they're here on campus senior year. And we'd get them through essentially in 2 years for us, and the expenses are relatively low. So we get more benefits out of that if we can get that route. Yeah. And actually we had somebody... NAU asking for teaching some classes in the summertime because they wanted to take some junior level classes in summer. So there might be a market out there.
You've got some undergrads that are NAU now that are in 2
No, the NAU wanted to cover their class. They didn't teach the class, or the students missed it or something, so they wanted to teach them or get them. Okay, this is if you look in your notes, there's a slide, and I pulled this out because it came out fuzzy. I didn't make it small like the other ones, and you can take a look at this. It's not the Arizona Department of Economic Security, but it's one of the agencies in the state doing projections of job projections in the state over the next 10 years, over the next decade, starting in 2010. So it's a bit old, but 18% growth in Arizona for civil engineers, and my box didn't come all the way out. 70% due to growth, so this is the 10 years, so you see it breaks to 70 per year, plus separations, I guess that's in retirements and leaving positions. So we're talking about 150 students per, 150 new civil engineers required per year. So we're in a good position. We're putting out 40 to 50. ASU is probably putting about 150. Once you, think of graduate school, people going to graduate school or leaving the state, we'll be reasonably, and NAU puts out a handful as well. So we're reasonably close to what we should be putting out, I think. And I think there's something I could point back to, say you don't want us to grow to 200 students because we're not going to have the demand for them. Yeah. But the one that worries me is that one there, the biomedical engineering. They have 200 students in their program right now, and they have 200. They're talking 30 students a year getting up, so they're going to be graduating 60, 70 students a year and have a demand of 30.
That's Arizona only, though.
This is just Arizona, right? Yeah. But UCLA is putting out like 300 or 400 students a year in biomedical engineering, and so yeah. So we're really happy, but I don't know. So I think we have a place to put our folks, and I think there's in the long term, this is what I push when I go to Engineering 102 and say, you want to be a civil engineer, and this is where we're going to be going. So we're going to have just about the highest growth rate in the state in engineering disciplines, and have a lot of positions open over time.
Do you have anything or any data that shows, the potential job openings? How many of those are in the design profession or construction, or where they go into the market?
In fact, I'm wondering if how much does this include construction or not? I would tend to doubt it. Yeah.
I think construction management is what they would.
Right. Yeah, and there isn't. I looked through the rest of their categories. There's a construction category, but that's probably lumps everybody together, and it doesn't break out managers versus the positions our folks would get versus the general pool. They have a construction, and that's huge. That has a huge projected growth rate, but it doesn't break it out that I can use it.
We'll get to that later, right?
Yeah, well, okay. Some things that happen in our curriculum that I'd like to at least let you know about and get some feedback on. It should be foundations engineering. The faculty sat down and over time have recognized that foundations is really important to our students for a basic skill when people leave civil engineering, and we've had it as a elective course, and we've had foundations. We have a 4-unit geotechnical engineering course, and you could find the program of study somewhere in your folder, I think, correct? Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to look through and see where we stand, at the junior year we offer classes in geotech engineering, water and wastewater, transportation, and hydraulics. 4-unit classes each. And the intent of those 4-unit classes, and we made this change around 10 years ago, Vikram? Maybe 8? It's around 2000, if I remember. We made the change. And those used to be 3-unit classes, and we added an additional unit to add a design component at the junior year. Okay. Structures had a 3-unit analysis class, and then we require a 3-unit design class, either concrete or steel. Okay. And then on top of that, senior year is comprised primarily of technical electives. And your second sheet there lists all the tech electives that we have in the program. Foundation's one of them, of course, that most people should gravitate to, but probably a little more than half maybe take that course each year. And we found that geotech, even teaching it a 4-unit class, doesn't allow enough time to get a whole lot of design into that course. So we're reducing geotech from 4 units down to 3 units. It's going to be really a soil mechanics type class rather than a foundations general geotech. And then everybody will be required to take foundations engineering in place of one of their tech electives. So we used to have 5 tech electives. When this program gets enacted, we'll be down to 4, which is good and bad. We're essentially saying everybody should be having this tech elective, which virtually, when I advise students, I advised everybody to take foundations, although their decision process is different than mine. I'll just put it that way. They have different objectives and their goals than I have getting a good, well-rounded civil engineer. They have different objectives, and I'll just leave it at that. Students have different objectives than faculty have. So essentially, we've gone from, well, the foundations became a requirement, so that 3 units is absorbed